I think I've sold out, to be honest. But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
This week's movie, Who Am I? After a bout of jealousy, I am outcast to brave the barely known outside world with the one I hate most. Over time, our adventure teaches me the value of friendship and trust as we rejoin our family just in time for the big move. Stay tuned to find out. You're listening to the Banana Reel Movie Podcast, episode 46. Warning, this show contains spoilers and coarse language, so you've been forewarned. Hey there, folks. We are the Theatre Gorillas. My name is Carlos.
I'm Heath.
And each and every fortnight, we get together and we discuss movies, whether we like it or not.
He remembers.
Yes, I finally remembered. And for this week, actually, before we jump into that.
Yeah, you can do the other stuff first.
Yeah, so if you want to reach us, you can always go to the various social medias. But to simplify things, just go to our website. From there, you can redirect yourself where you need to go. So theatregorillas.com, spelled the UK English way.
Indeed. And we're all on the Twitter, we're on the Facebook. Did you mention all this?
No.
Oh, good. We're on the Instagram where you get to see lovely photos of not me on the couch. They're more perspective photos of me on the couch watching TV. Generally with a bottle of wine in there somewhere.
Thank God for that. But yeah, we're on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and iTunes, obviously. So just rate and subscribe for YouTube and iTunes. And if you can, thumbs up on YouTube because it all helps.
Indeed, it does.
And so anyway, this week, or this episode, I should say.
This fortnight.
Yes. God damn it. It's too many episodes where we were weekly, and now that we're fortnightly, it's just that adjustment.
Indeed, it's fine.
All right, so this fortnight, this episode, we're looking at Special Correspondents. Starring Ricky Gervais and Eric Bana.
That's right. And now this one here is actually one of the, I should say it's one of Netflix's first fortes into doing original film. Like they have had the Adam Sandler film, Ridiculous Six, which was a ridiculously fucking terrible movie. And now they've got this one they've just released, and they're actually planning on releasing quite a few more.
Now, you say it's the first foray of films they're funding.
Yes.
But it's not really been the first, has it? There's been other projects along the way.
There have been. They've done other little things along the way, but their main thing has been, the binge-watching TV shows, where I think, I don't want to say most of their budget's gone, but that's what they've been mainly funding. And
was the first one Arrested Development that they poured money into?
Well, that was the first one they probably poured money into to acquire the rights for.
Right.
And then to not only acquire the rights to create a fourth season.
Right.
But before that, I mean, they had Orange is the New Black, they had House of Cards, they've had all those shows.
Okay.
Which they've been kind of doing for a while now.
All right, cool. And yes, so this film, we picked this film for the notion of, you know what, we haven't had enough Tank Girl ratings.
Yes.
So we thought, let's choose a semi-horrible movie, potentially, to discuss and give a Tank Girl rating. But as we discovered, this movie isn't the best, but it's not bad.
And I think that's actually a really great way to describe it. It's not amazing. It's not bad. It actually, to that point where it makes you leave it going, that was a movie.
Yeah.
Like considering the name is called Special Correspondents, there's nothing that special.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it has so much potential.
Totally. Now, what I was kind of walking away from this movie with is kind of like, in a way, is what you said. It was more like, okay, well, it kind of entertained me. I wasn't exactly looking at other things or grabbing my phone or anything like that.
Oh, I was, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was involved in the movie. I was watching it. But a lot of the times I'm sitting there thinking to myself, fuck, I wouldn't have put this there. I wouldn't have done this.
No, exactly right. You know what? And it's easy to just go, I think if you go all the way to the beginning, right? You go all the way to the beginning and you see Eric Bana in the bar, right? So you're seeing Eric Bana in the bar. He's doing his thing. He's, listening to a police scanner
Yep.
trying to, and you're kind of getting, okay, he's setting the scene. Okay, this guy, he's looking, obviously he's looking for his story. He's trying to do something here.
Or some kind of ambulance chaser or something.
Exactly. And then you've got that fantastic little shot of following him walking up the street. He leaves the bar, you think it's nighttime because it's in a bar, but then he comes out, it's daytime. He's, puts his sunnies on, goes up, buys the doll.
Yep.
Buys
the teddy bear dressed as a police officer
to get the badge off, gives it to the kid. That was actually really well done because you're kind of going, oh, what's he going to do? He's going to sneak into a crime scene. What's going to happen? And right about there is where the whole, I don't want to say the magic ends, but that's kind of the most interest I had in this movie.
You mentioned the introduction and following Eric Bana go through the streets of New York and do this whole sequence. The only thing that stuck in my head was Payback.
Movie Payback?
With Mel Gibson, the revenge crime movie.
Yeah.
Because the whole introduction of that movie, once he's shot, he's on the table of, I'm assuming, a veterinarian.
Yeah.
When he's in his recovery phase, he is basically getting back on top, getting some money in his pocket, stealing from other people, buying a suit, buys a gun, buys a nice couple of watches that he can then pawn.
Setups sequence. Yeah.
And that whole sequence of walking through the city and picking his mark and all that, same thing here.
Same thing, but at a very, because it's that whole, once again, it's the, meant to show the size of New York and the, I don't know, his determination as a character, but once again.
And how despicable he really is.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But even then, even when he sneaks into the police, behind the line, and I thought that was really well done. But the moment they have that little confrontation with the police officer.
Who throws him out.
It goes nowhere.
Yeah, it kind of goes stagnant after that.
It does. And then he just goes outside, does his thing, and his bad behavior is rewarded, which is a bit of a Ricky Gervais quirk. Like a lot of Ricky Gervais's characters are, they do terrible things and yet they somehow get on top or they get some form of reward out of it.
Yeah.
Unless, you look at David Brent, who is this just tragic character who continues to be tragic the entire way through The Office. But, I don't know how to describe it, but that's where my point when I just went, fuck it, I don't care.
And, for me, there's also something about Ricky Gervais. He's playing his typical quiet person who is intelligent but doesn't really do anything, doesn't really get ahead of anything, and goes through, the standard journey that you do in a film where the character grows, learns, gets out of their shell and so forth.
Yeah.
Right? They're all tropes, and most times you let them go because the film is entertaining. For the most part, this film wasn't really entertaining.
No, not at all.
It was just flat.
It was flat, and there was no point where you kind of were like, oh, I want them to get out of their situation, or I wonder how this is going to turn on them, because you kind of knew it was just going to turn out okay.
Well, I think we should explain what the situation actually is.
We actually should, because we kind of just started talking about it but not really doing it. Yeah.
So Ricky Gervais is a radio technician and Eric Bana plays the reporter.
Yep.
Now, they're both kind of, one is not considered, so Ricky Gervais isn't considered the best at his job, but he's not the worst either.
Yeah, and he's happy with himself at where he is.
Yeah, whereas Eric Bana's, he got this dream of being something bigger and so forth, and he takes risks to get a story and makes up
breaks the rules
and makes up half the shit anyway.
Yep.
And gets in trouble with it. So he's kind of on a fine line.
Yeah.
Now, something is about to erupt in Ecuador, and
coup.
Yeah, a coup is about to happen. Not much is known, but they're told, look, you need to go. And Eric Bana pulls Ricky Gervais into it.
Yep.
The problem is Ricky Gervais is completely distracted because his wife, who we'll get into in a moment, has pretty much left him.
Yep.
And because he's distracted, he throws his tickets away.
Passports.
And they're
Why
screwed.
they're all together, I've got no idea, but anyway.
But they're screwed. So they get to the airport, they have nothing, and rather than just go back into the office and say, hey, we fucked up, print up some more, they decide to go across the road from where they work and hide.
Yep. At the restaurant where it seems like everyone from that work goes to.
Yeah.
That's why they're friends with the people who own it, who I do have to say
were probably the best part of the movie.
They were probably the best part of the movie, that couple. The obviously there's some form of
South American.
I couldn't actually tell you where. Actually, we'll go back onto a funny point on that in a moment. But yeah, but exactly, that was their choice. But I mean, that's where the hilarity is meant to ensue, but it doesn't.
But here's the thing: you're in an office block, and across the road is a cafe/restaurant that your entire work staff ventures out to.
Frequent.
Yeah, and they're hiding upstairs. Why isn't majority of the comedy them trying to get around the fact that they're hiding upstairs and they can be caught at any moment?
Yeah, and I think you know why it's not like that? Because you know that's that whole situation comedy, like sitcom kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, we might get caught. Oh, if this happens. And I think this was trying to be a black comedy, but I don't think it was dark enough. You know what I mean?
So it's a grey comedy.
Yeah, it's like a grey, semi-grey, maybe, like tinge of white. I got no idea.
But,
a pearl.
But like they have situational moments in it. Like they end up faking their correspondence.
Yeah.
They fake the fact that they're in Ecuador and the borders in Ecuador get shut. So they have to be there for longer than they intend to and pretend that they're there. And it gets to a point where they want to get out of the apartment. They walk down the street and they are forced to give a report while walking on the street. So rather than have the tech, all the sound equipment to create the environment that they're supposed to be in, that Ricky Gervais has set up, he has to do it on the fly. And that in itself should be funny.
Yes.
But half the time, what he's coming up with is just blowing air out of his mouth into his ear. And like that could be funny for a moment, but like nothing else happens. There's maybe a woman that comes up on the street and says, speaks to them in plain English. Is this the office of blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
And like those moments should be more humorous, but they're so quick to present it and quick to remove it. Yes. That they don't do anything with it.
And that's exactly right. With that woman saying that, we should have had the hero, oh, they're going to get caught. And we should have gotten a bit, excited for, of the situation they're in. But you don't.
Yeah, they just literally run away and within half a second she's gone. She's out of the picture.
Yeah. And once again, there's no payoff.
Yeah.
Like out of all of that.
They never ask who is that and what's going on. Anything like that. There's none of that. Why not though? Like why is there no, hey, that sounded like, you're outside this place. Or that sounds like, was that a car horn? Like something like. There was one moment that I thought was humorous where Ricky Gervais is just such a, down-to-earth, honest person that without thinking while talking on the phone with his boss, he goes, something or other subway, like he mentions the train.
Yeah.
And then he panics and he quickly says, that's what we call the tanks because they sound like subway trains.
Yeah.
That was one of the few moments that I actually laughed at because that was a situational moment that actually did work.
Yeah.
But they're so far and few between.
Oh, that's very true. Like I did love when they're trying to set up their sounds and they're trying to do all that stuff. That's why I did have that little chuckle before. When they're saying, what would you say in your village at home? Yeah. And she's there screaming stuff.
And the restaurant owners, they're so simple people, such simple people. Much like Ricky Gervais. Yeah. That it's their reactions to situations that is funny.
Yeah, exactly right. And they're going...
Their input.
Exactly. And they're screaming at him in Spanish, but saying stuff like, oh, isn't that a lovely fat baby? And they're like, because a fat baby is good. It means he's being fed. And, and all this other stuff. And I did love that because it's that whole cultural divide. And it's kind of not what they're looking for.
And completely dissociated with what's going on.
Yeah. Exactly.
I want to talk about the wife.
Yeah, okay. Bring up the wife.
So the character of Ricky Gervais's wife, which is played by Vera Farmiga.
Yeah, so she's Bates Motel. She was in most recently, I think. And
right.
Yeah.
So she's playing an Eleanor Finch.
Yeah.
Now, in this movie, from the very beginning, she's written in such a way that you hate her.
Oh, totally. Nothing about her is likable.
Absolutely nothing.
I mean, the fact that when we first meet her, she's just pissed off at the fact that she's going to a ball where there's not going to be a celebrity. Then to the fact that she immediately, when she sees Eric Banner's character, takes off her wedding ring.
Yeah.
And then, seduces him, essentially. That's our first meeting of her.
Yeah, that is literally the first 2 minutes.
And that's actually where I go back to. This is where this was meant to be like a black comedy because it's meant to be that our hero, who's meant to be Ricky Gervais, I would assume, down on his luck, has this horrible wife who cheats on him and does all this stuff. But it doesn't have that element. And so in the end, you just hate that character.
Yeah.
I mean, which you're meant to, but you just don't, but also you don't care.
And the other thing that I find interesting is as the course of the movie happens, so they're faked being in Ecuador, they fake a kidnapping because
Oh, that was, yeah.
that was an amusing part.
It was, but once again, no payoff.
Yeah, exactly right. So they fake being caught as hostages, and in which case his wife then comes out of the woodwork
Yeah.
and starts kickstarting her own career
Yeah.
as a singer and a celebrity. And it never, like, you see a couple of weird glances from hosts of TV shows or whatever, but no one poses the question to her, like, why are you doing this?
And for some reason, they love her for doing it. Because there's that point where the radio boss, and he's played by that great actor. He's very funny, Kevin Pollak, where he, even says, "No, pay attention to get an interview with the wife. She's hot right now, like she's buzzing." And so her bad behavior, once again, like we said before, is being rewarded.
Yeah.
Constantly, and so. Oh, like I just she just ends up annoying me. She fucking annoys me. Like,
so in the end, that's you said it before that's a Ricky Gervais trope.
Yeah,
and so once again, that's another one.
Yeah, exactly. But see, even with those Ricky Gervais tropes, he generally in other things that he's done, like you have them doing this negative behavior and getting rewarded, but then there's something that pulls the rug out, and so they end up having a trip and a fall. This doesn't happen in this movie.
You say that.
Try and think of it though.
I think the trip and the fall is meant to be when they actually go to Ecuador and they actually are caught.
Yes.
And held as hostages.
Absolutely. But what happens from it?
They save themselves.
They save themselves because they just legitimized their entire fucking story.
Yeah.
So essentially, they went to Ecuador, got put in a fuck situation where you did think, oh my God, there's something bad's going to happen. It's going to, now they're going to have to get saved or something like that. Nope. They got themselves out of it, got themselves to the embassy, legitimized their fucking story. No repercussion.
Yeah, no one thinks twice about it.
No one thinks twice.
The other thing is there was a moment for the wife to actually redeem herself as well.
Yep.
And no, she doesn't. She's so money hungry.
Yeah. Like the fact she's taking this money that's meant to be used for charity to get, to pay the ransom, even though she didn't know it was a fake ransom. And her whole thing was, no, I'm going to keep some of it. I'm going to keep it.
She was always planning to keep it.
I know. Fucked characters. Like that's actually one of my notes that I have here is that every character in this is likable. The only character that you could probably say is somewhat likable
Do you mean every character is unlikable? Yeah,
they're unlikable. Like you just don't like them.
You said likable before.
Shut up. Long day. But the only one who's kind of likable is the what's her name?
Oh, the girl that always hangs around Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, the one who's meant to be his love interest. Kelly.
Claire. The character's name is Claire.
Yeah, and what's the actress? Kelly?
Kelly MacDonald.
Kelly MacDonald. Yeah, she was in Boardwalk Empire. She's Irish, I think, or Scottish. Which that's another point I'll bring up after as well. Like she's somewhat likable, but at the same time, she does nothing.
Absolutely.
So she's a pointless character.
She's the only one that sticks up for
them,
for Ricky Gervais more than anything. But she doesn't actually stand up for them aside from a couple of sparing comments.
Yeah. And she does make it sound like she actually cares about what's happening to them, but that's it.
Yeah. And like when I feel like jumping right to the end, this movie...
we can, and then what we'll do is because then I've got something else I want to talk to you about.
Well, the funny thing is, right, is that this movie just lacks so much substance. There's not actually a great deal to talk about.
No, exactly.
And I'm worried that there's just not going to be enough substance for this episode, which is...
It's all good, don't worry, because then we can kind of move on to something else, which is kind of linked, so it's all good.
Okay. Well, towards the end of the film, so they get captured and they have their moment where Ricky Gervais is like, you know what, I'm going to stand up for myself for once and make my change or whatever, and they go through and they go through the whole ordeal, which is kind of sullied by the fact that he sullies himself.
Exactly. And also he's high on cocaine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, they get home and the big hoo-ha back home in the States is that they're journalists that have been captured.
Yeah.
And the first thing that Ricky Gervais does is just walk completely off stage and no reporter follows him, nothing. And just to have his close-off moment of, I do see you for who you are. I'm leaving my wife,
Yep.
And Like, I mean, towards Claire. Like, so
Yeah.
because she's always been around and everything, and, you know, he finally recognizes the fact that she does dig him.
Yeah.
And he likes her back. So they closed that off. And it's like, okay, that was a nice tail end, but it was completely dissociative from the situation.
The reality of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then right at the very end to break the fourth wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With the comment of, oh, yeah, now we're doing our big walkaway now.
This feels like a low budget movie.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
But see, that made me go, did Ricky Gervais even give a shit?
I don't think he did.
Because-
It honestly feels that way.
Yeah, because I kind of go, I mean, they would have been given some money to do this. Budget-wise, I don't know, I'll have a look up while I'm talking. But they would have been given some money to do this. To then have him do that, but at the same time, I mean, because that's Ricky Gervais as well. He likes to poke fun at, you know, all those sorts of things in those situations he's in. But yeah, like it just meant go, well, okay, if you didn't care about doing this, like this movie, why did you fucking make it?
Yeah.
You know, why did you even bother?
And like he must have had some care for it in order to even involve Eric Bana in the first place.
Well, you know what's funny? Because I saw him doing an interview on Graham Norton
Regarding this movie?
Regarding this movie, it was him and Eric Bana. They were both on there,
Right.
And the way they were talking about it actually made me go, "I'm really keen to see this. This seems really good." So they're obviously doing publicity for it and PR.
Right, so they have interest in the movie.
Yeah, they have interest in the film, but it didn't come across at all.
I wonder if it's just poor editing choices, or I don't know. Their characters don't necessarily seem flat.
Yeah.
The performances seem all right. It's just I think the situation and the jokes don't actually land.
Okay.
I think that's part of the problem of this movie.
Hey, I'm just looking up here. So one, I can't find a budget. It was actually a remake of a French film.
Right.
I kind of want to see the French film.
I've got a feeling the French film's going to be a lot better.
Une voix très spéciale. I cannot speak French.
I will translate the title for you. Special Correspondents.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, wow. I'm actually also on the French, what do they call it, Wikipedia site, and I can't read any of this.
But yeah, so this movie just, I don't know, it just lacks so much substance. It really needed another go around.
I think so. I think they need to actually make a better effort.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, because this is where I go to the other point that I was going to make as well.
Right.
The acting, okay? Did you notice that both Kelly MacDonald and Eric Bana's accent drops all the fucking time?
I noticed it. I didn't notice it so much with Claire.
Yeah.
So Kelly Madison.
But she didn't speak as much on camera.
True.
Yeah.
But definitely with Eric Bana.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, for a guy who's done a lot of American films and I know can hold an American accent, the fact that he dropped it that often, I was like, fuck, man, did you just phone it in?
Would it have been just better just to do an Australian accent?
Exactly. Make him Australian. The end. Or, this is the other thing as well, was it Ricky Gervais going, cut, that'll do?
Yeah, maybe.
Because if that's...
I don't know, but I definitely did notice Eric Bana's accent just completely falter.
Yep.
And more than once in a scene.
Yes, more than once in a scene. The first time we see him, and like, as well, once again, going back to that bar episode, I thought he was going to be an Australian. Because when he spoke, it was broad as fuck.
Yeah.
And then as he's going along, he's doing the whole, he's talking with an American accent. I thought, he's doing that to pretend he's a
police officer.
But then he responds in American and he does the thing. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? But then another scene later, he drops it a little and then brings it back.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, make up your mind.
I think you're onto that.
Yeah.
With if he was Australian playing himself as his own accent and then puts on a persona to get past the police officer to talk to the hotel staff to find out what happened in the beginning. And then when he's caught by the superintendent to then bring back the Australian accent.
That would have been funny.
That would have been hilarious.
Exactly. And then it'd be like, fuck, I'm caught. You know, and you kind of bring that in. It's like, you know, he's but he doesn't. It's not. And there's no payoff for any of the fucking jokes.
I mean, I reckon, I don't know. I was gonna, this movie reminds me of like a crime movie that could have been, and I say this very vaguely because I've got a movie in the back of my mind that it reminds me of.
Okay.
But I cannot for the life of me remember what the movie is now. But it reminds me of movies such as like goofy detective crime movies that, anyway.
Like what, like your Naked Guns and stuff like that?
Kind of like that. This movie could have been like a Naked Gun in terms of the direction and humor that they could have gone, but not so slapstick.
Yeah.
But it could have been like off the walls.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. They tried to go for a serious route and it just doesn't work.
It didn't at all. And it's actually...
I don't think, for example, I don't think the characters work. They may work on paper.
Yeah.
But they don't work in reality. Not with Ricky Gervais and Eric Bana.
No.
And them together doesn't work.
See, I think the funny thing is, I think it could have, but once again, we needed to have them have some form of negative outcome for them. We needed them to not be legitimized. We needed all of that. The fact that they go to Ecuador and and they get kidnapped and then they get they fully legitimize what happened to them. That's the word. That is fucking awful because that means you just go, I don't care. Because they should have at one point had the fall for it to actually have been funny in a decent film. I think if they had the part where the house of cards just falls down, they're stuffed,
and they're actually discovered,
okay, we're screwed. The one point where they're discovered in the wife's in his house when they're trying to steal the money.
To get to Ecuador in the first place.
To get to Ecuador in the first place. It just goes, oh, okay, we'll say that you used half of it to pay our you used it to pay our ransom.
Yeah, everyone wins in that situation.
Everyone wins.
And it pisses me off. It upsets me that so much bad is being done and there's not one repercussion for it.
That's right.
That when you put it that way, it really annoys me.
Exactly, because that's what black comedy is meant to be. Black comedy is meant to be that you have this negative behavior being done. Yes, there's a bit of a payoff for some, but then something happens to kind of put a down on it, or it's meant to kind of all fall down around them. And because it doesn't happen, you just don't care. I really do not care.
In saying that, I don't know about you, but there's really not much to discuss in this movie. I'm ready to give a rating on this one.
Mate, let's do it. This can be one of the shortest episodes we've ever done.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I'll start.
Go for it.
It really doesn't speak much for this movie. It could have been so much more, and it really did not even hit the mark. Not even remotely close. It didn't even scrape through. Now, the funny thing is, we've been talking a lot of negatives on this movie, but for the most part, the movie is a good time waster.
Yeah, it's watchable.
Exactly right. It's passable, but it just doesn't hit the mark for a good movie.
Yeah.
And it's not so bad that it deserves a Tank Girl rating. I was really hoping that it would be just goddamn awful.
Yeah, it's definitely not that bad.
But it's not that bad. It does scrape through just by the skin of its teeth to get... Now, I could be really mean and give it half a banana, but I'm not going to. I'm going to give it one banana.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually am going to totally agree with you. I'm going to give my rating now and say it's a one banana. And the reason why it doesn't deserve to get nothing is because, yes, we ripped, like we've said, how crap it was when I say how crap it was, how the jokes didn't really have a payoff. The characters have no redeeming qualities and yet get rewarded for it. How they just seem to have these elaborate schemes that shouldn't work but do.
And everyone around them is just dumb.
And everyone around them's just dumb. And yet, for some reason, I still kind of did leave it going. I didn't mind it. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a Taint Girl. But so it definitely deserves one banana. But I mean, honestly, guys, if you've got an hour and a half that you just want to kill, maybe put it in the background while you're doing the washing or something like that. I don't know, if you're cleaning the house. But you don't really need to pay that much attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you have watched this movie and you really did like it, tell us why.
Absolutely.
Tell us why. Write us at theatregorillas@gmail.com or go to our website and fill out the contacts page and just let us know what did you like about this movie and what would you have given it? Yeah,
because honestly, I've got no idea.
Yeah, this one really just is, for me, it's not a recommendation.
No, look, like I said, you could have it on the background and just not pay attention to it.
Yeah. So anyway, that is Special Correspondents, and stay tuned for the end of the theme song if you want to hear what this week's movie Who Am I is. Otherwise, we'll see you in a fortnight.
I know I want to wait around to see what it is because I still can't fucking think what it is.
You're going to kick yourself.
I keep on thinking, every time you say it, I still have in my head, I'm envisioning cats and dogs. But anyway.
We'll see.
Is it cats and dogs?
No.
Oh, okay.
All right. We'll see you in a fortnight.
Okay, cool. See you in a fortnight, guys.
All right, so you stayed on for the end of the theme song to find out what this week's movie, Who Am I, is. And the answer is...
The Groundhog Day?
It's not Groundhog Day. Now, I'm just going to bring this up for you, Heath, so you can see it, and you're going to kick yourself.
Okay, one second. I'm trying to make sure I can see. Oh, it's Toy Story, of course. Oh, of course, when he gets taken away to when they go to the Pizza Planet or whatever it's called.
And they end up next door.
Oh, fuck, of course. They're doing that fourth one, I hear.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because the way the third one rounded off was so good.
Oh, it was well done. Can I say that movie made me cry?
It made me cry.
Yeah.
I think it made everyone who followed the series cry.
Exactly. Because you kind of grew up with it, granted, this movie came out, in 95?
So Toy Story came out in 1995.
Yes.
And it stars the voices of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen and a whole bunch of people from Cheers.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Great cast. Oh, yeah. So I'm thinking I would have been around about 12 when this came out, but I still had, you still have that kind of childhood attachment to it.
Yeah.
And then as you grow up and grow older and you grow up with them, you kind of still, that's also Pixar, man. They make good movies.
They do.
Yeah.
I don't really recall bad Pixar movies. There's some that haven't been great.
Yeah, like Cars.
Yeah, look, Cars has its place, and it's
great for kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, where Toy Story was always intended for adults, I think.
You know what? It's that sort of humor which you see in movies like Toy Story and Monsters Inc. Not Monsters University. I haven't seen that one, but more the original.
Look, if I'm going to say that there is a movie that you probably don't have to see, it'd be Monsters University.
Well, there you go. But they all seem to be targeted at both adults and kids.
Yeah.
Like the writing style is perfect for both. In The Incredibles, one of the best superhero movies
That is
of all
the
time.
best Avengers movie ever.
Oh, yeah, totally. I think actually someone said it's like the best Fantastic Four movie they've ever made.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, they're doing a second one of that too. Fucking win.
I'm really hoping that does go through completely.
Yeah, me too.
Because that has been something that people have been asking for so long, and they've just been, comfortably, no, we don't need to. We don't need to do it. And then obviously, I don't know whether the checks are running dry or anything like that, but they're finally getting around to it.
I was going to say, it's Disney, man. Have you seen how much they've built so far fucking this year alone?
You're right on that one.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like the creators of the Pixar films.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I remember an interview with them where they sat down, they go, okay, we're going to build this company. What stories do we have on hand? And they worked out, I think it was something like 6 stories.
Yep.
That they definitely wanted to do. So Toy Story was one of them. Finding Nemo was another.
Are you talking about the sequels?
No.
No, the original, yeah.
We're talking
Finding
about the
Nemo,
original.
Fuck, that was a good movie
So Finding Nemo, we got Toy Story, we have Up.
Oh, yeah, God, that's a good movie
Right?
too, yeah.
Incredibles was another.
Yeah.
And
Wall-E. Oh, that's a good film.
They were the major films, so it's about 5.
Yep.
Right? There's probably 1 or 2 that I'm missing, but they always had in their core concept, they wanted to do those films and eventually get around to making those films.
Yep.
And, now that they've achieved that, what's left for them to really do?
Well, exactly.
So they got to, after working so many years on those scripts, now what do we do? And they did one recently, which was In and Out.
Inside Out?
Inside Out, sorry.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I've been told it's fucking amazing.
It is really good.
Yeah, I've heard it's really sad at the end.
And it is really sad. But what they teach you in that movie is that it's okay to be sad.
Yeah, I like that. It's cool.
And it's something that you tend to forget when you live your everyday life. You know what I mean? And so that movie has a really nice message by the end of it. Like, I won't completely reveal it, but it is something that I really do recommend. Like, they make good movies.
No, they do. They're very good. You're now making me... I'm going to have to make sure I go and watch that film.
It is really good. I do recommend it.
And Big Hero 6. Fuck, that was a good one too.
Yeah. Anyway, so...
we can now... Wow, we've been talking about this longer than we have been talking about the fucking movie.
All right, guys. We are the Theatre Gorillas. We'll catch you in a fortnight.
Yep.
Ciao.
See ya.
This podcast is recorded and produced by Theatre Gorillas. Edited by Dan Clark.